Chapter number 4, Close Call. I was in love with my son the first moment I knew he was there, growing in my body. Instantly, dreams of a little boy in pin-sized jeans and cowboy boots took root. Somehow, I knew he would be an adorable blonde-haired tyke. Jamie was so excited when I told him he was going to be a daddy, and he waited on me hand and foot. Ice cream, Snicker bars, fried chicken, hamburgers, pears and cottage cheese, frozen grapes. That was my list of non-negotiable cravings. And Jamie dutifully drove to the store or fixed whatever I needed on that list as quickly as humanly possibly. Humanly possible, as humanly possible. Funny thing, I still crave ice cream with almost the same intensity. We'd stay up late and talk about what our baby would be like and all the plans and dreams we had for our little one. What kind of house we'd have one day, with a big backyard and it for our child to play in. How magical Christmas would be with a baby. How would get him on her envelope in sports. Honestly, you could not ask for a more adoring husband, and I was knit to Jamie, body, soul, and spirit. My sister Sandra already had two boys, Rick and Todd. Rick had been diagnosed with autism around the age of 2, which was so hard on Sandra and Reggie. Like Jamie and me, they had dreams for their firstborn son. Those dreams would have to be reshaped into new, hopeful imaginings for him. Just like every other child in our family, Rick is a gift to his parents and to us. Even back when he was a little boy, it was clear he was high functioning on the autism spectrum. Rick could take part of a machine and put it back together in a snap, and he still can. My parents already had those two precious grandsons, and on April 19, 1977, they received a third, Brian James Spears. Tragedies. When he was born, Brian had pneumonic. When he was born, Brian had a pneumonic germ on his lung, which is another way of saying he had a bacterial lung infection, because newborns have a compromised immune system. They don't have the capacity to fight an infection like that. The first night of his life, Brian fought so hard, but we almost lost him. A first-time mom, I was terrified, vulnerable, and more invested in someone that I ever thought possible. It goes without saying that I did not leave his side. I remember pleading with God, incoherently and without ceasing, to hold Brian's little life in his hands and to please give him back to me. And he did. Even after Brian pulled through that first awful night, he was still in some danger. Any child that young with a significant infection is kept for a week or so to make sure it doesn't turn into life-threatening blood infection. I remember how frail he looked with an IV hooked up to his tiny body. It broke my heart. It also made me think of another mother losing her child. When I was 21, and pregnant with Brian, a piece of tractor equipment fell on my brother, Sonny, and I drove him to the emergency room as he was bleeding and moaning in pain. The roads were slick with rain, and as I was rounding the curve, an oncoming car was coming in the left lane. In a split second, I could see two young boys riding their bikes on the road. In that flash of time, I had a sick sensation that I would hit one of them, that it would be impossible not to, as I knew my car would not stop. No matter how hard I slammed on the brakes, one boy managed to get his bike out of the way, but his friend, a 12-year-old boy whose house was right by the scene of the accident, was hit. When I got out of my car, he was covered in blood as I knelt down beside him. When he when the paramedics got there, they took him to the hospital, and Sonny and I continued on the ER, numb with shock and horror. We must have gotten to the ER with Sonny around the same time as the boy's mother, who learned that her son was dead. I can still hear her blood-curdling screams. They will haunt me for the rest of my life. God's providence permitted that boy's mother to lose her son, while I was allowed to keep mine, watching him grow into manhood. Why? I wish I knew. All I know is I am so grateful Brian didn't die during his first week of life, when it seemed likely that his tiny lungs would not triumph over the terrifying infection raging in them. That incredible intense baptism into motherhood has stayed with me to this day. The fierce feeling it brought to the surface were so potent they remained technicolor brilliant some 30 years later. Brian's close they remained close call of Brian's close call affected me and affects me still in ways I don't even fully understand, but I do think those horrible hours define a piece of my motherhood, bonding us, maybe even more than a mother and baby bond under normal circumstances. All I know is that I've been protecting him for all I know is that I've been protecting him ever since. Called by God to watch over him, physically at first, and even now, spiritually and emotionally. Brian will probably squirm when he reads this. What 31-year-old man wants to hear that his mama is still protecting him? But every mother of grown children knows what I mean. No matter how old your children are, they are still and always yours to protect in whatever ways you can. Barney and Lillian Bridges, A Wartime Romance.